Hi everyone, this is Joel DeZenzio, the owner of JD Stats and the creator of BustTheBooks.com, back for a second video. What I'd like to do in this video is show you how we use our tools and our site information to research games. If you recall from the first video when we were showcasing our services, we're talking a little bit about the Seattle-Green Bay matchup. I want to look at that real quick. So I've added another section here. We actually have a new section called the juice. And the first thing we want to talk about is theoretical hold. The juice is also called the vig, the margin, the take, the percentage, the cut, and the commission. So what exactly is the juice? You know, when the bookmakers compose the odds for the sporting events, they are attempting to attract betting on both sides of the line or the market. It balances their overall liability for the event. In this particular case, the theoretical hold says 4.55, and what that means is it's assumed that this is the amount of money, the percentage, that the bookmaker will receive as commission for accepting wagers on that event. So what does that mean to you? It's going to cost you more money to wager on this event. The odds maker, they don't really care about who wins this contest. They care about getting this 4.55%, which is the juice, and they want to make sure that they have equal betting on both sides of the line. So in every game that you wager on, you're going to have risk. If you had no information, if you had absolutely zero information regarding this particular match, let's assume that you're willing to put $2,500 down on Seattle. If you put down $2,500 and Seattle wins, you would win $1,000. Now you may think to yourself, $1,000, that's wonderful. What if we knew for a fact that Green Bay was going to win this contest? And instead of putting down $2,500, you put down $2,000. What would that mean? That would mean that you would win $4,000. For every dollar that you wager, you're going to win $2. And this line means that for every $2.50 that you wager, you're going to win $1. And that covers the juice section and the theoretical hold, percent market, and this table. Hope you like this new feature. Let's move on to wager types and understanding how to wager. Now there's a lot of different philosophies in how to approach wagering on a game. Some people like to wager on the money line. Some people like to wager against the spread. Some people like to wager over under. On our site, when you use our tools, you're only going to concentrate on two things. You're going to concentrate either on moneyline wagers or against the spread or spread wagers. We do not concentrate on the over-under for the matchup. Our system uses a much better way of wagering, just using the spread and the money line. So let's talk about the money line. Whenever you have a head-to-head favorite and an odds maker favorite, you want to look at the money line and you want to see if it's in a value range that you're happy to risk. Because again, this is about your risk appetite. If this money line is between minus 115 and minus 210, then I'm willing to research this game and see if it's worth the risk. At minus 250, I'm not going to touch this game. I'm not even going to research this game. I don't like the money line. Again, we're going to go by best odds. The best odds. And let's look at the line real quick. It's minus 5.5 right now. So let's just assume that Seattle's on the other side here, and they are plus 5.5. If the line's at plus 5.5 for Seattle, I'm going to take the points. Because if I take the points and they lose by 3 points, I still win. I don't have to worry about whether or not they're going to win the game now. All I have to do is worry about whether or not they cover their points. So the philosophy about wagering on money line and spreads, two simple philosophies. The first is if they are a head-to-head favorite and they're the odds maker favorite, minus 115 to minus 210 is a good value. If they are a head-to-head favorite and they are an odds maker underdog, go with the points. Those two scenarios happen. Those games are worth researching. And we're going to apply those philosophies in just a second. So I switched over to the NCAA Virtual Reports page, and we're just going to concentrate on the Thursday night games. We have 6 games I'm going to look through, and I'm just going to find the money lines and see if I see something between minus 115 and minus 210. So looking at that, there is no criteria on the money line for minus 115 to minus 210. So now I'm going to look at the money lines and see if one of our head-to-head teams is an underdog on the odds maker side. And I can see right now that LA Monroe is plus 115, so they are an underdog at 2.5 points. Boise State is an underdog at plus 10 points. Tulane is an underdog at plus 5 points. I've identified 3 games that I'm willing to research. But before researching it, I'm going to go one other step. I'm going to look at this risk profile. So if you watched the first movie where I talked about the services, you'll know that the risk factor basically represents the chance the head-to-head prediction might fail. So I want this value to be low. Looking at this LA Monroe Wake Forest, the risk value is high. I'm going to knock that off my list too. So I'm not even going to research this LA Monroe Wake Forest game. These other 2 are under 30%. That's pretty good. And let's go ahead and start with the Boise State matchup. All right, so we're looking at the Boise State matchup. So we have the TSRS values. TSRS, True Statistical Rating of Strength. This is the strength value for each team. So we have 2 different categories. If both of these teams were the same category, say average versus average, strong versus strong, elite versus elite, etc., then I would be concerned. We all know that we have a team like Ole Miss that's from the Southeastern Conference, very, very strong conference. Boise State is not in one of the Big 5 conferences. All right, so you may not agree that Boise State is a strong team and Ole Miss is an average team, but the system says it's true, and the system is very accurate. Back in 2012, Week 3, I had Louisiana Monroe defeating Arkansas. At that time, Louisiana Monroe was a plus 5,000 underdog, and they won. The system said they were going to win. So just remember, the bookmakers are setting the lines based off of better action. They're trying to get an equal amount of action on one side of the line as the other. If you remember the juice table that I told you about before, right now the theoretical holds 3.15. I would say most of the games are going to be in the 3% range. That's actually a pretty good range. If I go down to the game section, I'm going to see that there's no data for this because these 2 teams have not played each other. I'm going to go down to the risk marker scores. So let's look at the risk markers. We have head-to-head, we have TSRS difference, scoring offense difference, scoring defense difference, pass efficiency rating difference, and rushing efficiency rating difference. And this was the one lone risk marker that did not appear in the NFL. But in the NCAA, completely different story. Rushing efficiency rating and passing efficiency rating, the differences, account for exactly 74% of the wins. They're even. So we look at the high indicators. What this is saying is that the rushing efficiency rating difference for Boise State is 95% chance that this game is going to be won just by that alone. Scoring offense difference, 80% of the game, basically an 80% chance this game will be won just by this indicator alone. Then we have 270s with the head-to-head and the TSRS difference. I can tell you right now the 2 strongest indicators are the TSRS difference and the scoring offense difference. These 2 are the highest indicators. After that, we're talking about head-to-head, pass efficiency rating difference, rushing efficiency rating difference, and the scoring defense difference. These are very high indicators. That's why the risk potential is at 26.65%. So I'm looking at the risk here, and I like it. So now we're looking at the rosters real quick. These are the update rosters. We have seniors. Boise State has 10 more seniors. Ole Miss has 6 more juniors. But overall, Ole Miss is the young team. We have standout comparisons. I'm going to skip over all of the standout comparisons, including the defense and the special teams. And I'm going to go straight to the momentum indicators. And what I want to do is look at the blue lines for Boise State and the blue lines for Ole Miss. And the first thing I'm going to look at is last year they started off probably average, just below average, and they started to work their way up, and they ended up on a pretty high note. Ole Miss, however, started at 128, and they just kind of dive bombed. By the time they got to the end of the season, they're at 88. But keep in mind, they also played against defenses that were kind of below the bottom tier or in the middle tier. But Ole Miss played two teams three teams, four teams that were higher than this middle average line. On the defensive side, Boise State didn't have a very good defense to start the season. By the time they progressed, they did increase. They did get better. Ole Miss started out as an average, and Ole Miss basically got up to being an above average defense. Ole Miss is going to have a little bit of an edge on the defensive side. So right now, Boise State, a little bit of an edge on the offense. Ole Miss, a little bit of an edge on the defense side. Everything points to Boise State giving it a very, very strong game. We don't have to take the money line, and Boise State can lose by 9 points, and we still win. If you buy a half a point to 10.5, they can lose by 10 and you still win. So if I do a mock wager on this matchup, I can click that button. And right now I'm saying, mainly because I like the Southeastern Conference, I'm saying Ole Miss is going to win this matchup, even though the system says Boise State's going to win. However, I'm happy and more than happy enough to wager on the spread. I'm basically doing 2.0 units for Boise State, and this is the current line that I've locked in. Real quickly, let's go back and let's look at the next one, which is the Tulane-Tulsa matchup. Average versus week. Theoretical hold, very, very low, 2.94. That's fantastic. Game history. First two times, 2011 week 2, 2012 week 2, Tulsa won 31-3, 45-10, but then last year, late in the season, week 9, Tulane won 14-7. Risk markers, going by highest to lowest. TSRS difference says 65% chance or higher. Then we have scoring offense, 65%, same thing. Then we have head-to-head, 75%. Then we have rushing efficiency rating and passing efficiency rating. You can look at this as game management, 75 and 80, and then scoring defense at 90. These are also very, very high indicators. Let's look at the rosters. Oh, wow, same thing. Seniors, 8 more seniors, 1 more junior. I'm going to scroll all the way down to the momentum indicators. Just looking at that right now, I could tell you they both have crappy offenses. But look at the defensive momentum for Tulane. Started out very high, oscillated down, stayed above, stayed fairly good, and then increased to the end of the season. And then look at Tulsa. All the way down, very weak defense. So Tulane has a very strong defense. Tulsa has a very weak defense, and they have similar offenses. And the risk indicators look very good. Game history shows a good strong win last year later in the season, so that's good. And again, I don't have to take the money line. I can take the spread. It's at -5. So if I wager on this, I'm actually going to say Tulane's going to win this game, and I like 2 units as well. So I hope this helps you out a little bit in how we use the tools on our site. Personally, this is week 1, so keep in mind the data is being used from last year, so the data is going to get stronger and stronger as the season progresses. By week 7, the data is going to be very, very strong. In the first few weeks, I like to look at wagers that I can benefit from, the odds maker setting the lines incorrectly. So just look through things, and we hope to see you on our site. Thanks. Bye.